The hour is late, the world lies still. Outside, the hum of distant traffic fades into the rhythm of the sleeping earth, and inside a darkened room, a single breath catches. Eyes open, but the body will not move. The night presses close. Something ancient stirs. This is not a nightmare, at least, not in the way we understand it. This is sleep paralysis, a haunting threshold between waking and dreaming, where the mind awakens before the body and the shadows seem to notice. For as long as humans have slept, there have been whispers of the unseen pressing down in the night. From medieval Europe to the coasts of Japan, from Nordic winters to the Caribbean heat, the stories are eerily the same people waking to find themselves pinned in place, breath shallow, hearts hammering against invisible weight. In 1781, Swiss physician Samuel August Tissot described it clinically as a temporary suspension of voluntary motion. Yet long before medicine gave it a name, folklore gave it a face. In England, it was called the Old Hag, a shriveled crone said to perch on sleepers' chests, stealing their air. In Newfoundland, terrified villagers blamed it on a vengeful spirit called the Old Hag's Ride. In Japan, it was kanashibari, bound by metal, a state of spiritual suffocation said to come from ghosts or grudges. Across Africa, the Caribbean, and the Americas, the stories evolved but never vanished. Nightmares were not simply dreams, they were encounters. Modern science calls it a parasomnia, an event that occurs during the transitions between wakefulness and sleep. The cause, doctors say, lies in the brain's delicate dance between consciousness and paralysis. When we enter REM sleep, the body becomes still, muscles locked to prevent us from acting out our dreams. But sometimes the mind wakes up before the body does. The result is a brief yet terrifying disconnection, the awareness of being awake, trapped inside a motionless shell. Breathing becomes shallow, the chest heavy, the air thick. The dream world bleeds into the waking one. Shapes form in the darkness. A presence looms near the bed. The rational mind insists this is only biology, but in the moment it feels like the gates of hell have opened. The earliest recorded description dates back to the 10th century. In Byzantine texts, monks wrote of the Ephialtes, a demon that leaps upon sleepers, crushing their chests. Later, in 1664, Dutch physician Isbrand van Dimmerbroek chronicled a case of a woman visited nightly by a devil who lay upon her and pressed her so that she could scarcely speak or breathe. In these centuries, science and superstition walked hand in hand. Physicians treated what villagers feared and both called it possession. Paintings from the era capture the terror vividly. Henry Fuseli's The Nightmare, a pale woman draped across her bed, an imp crouched on her chest. Eyes glowing became an icon of the invisible world that visited the helpless. To the modern viewer, it's art. To those who felt its memory, fast forward to the 21st century. The candlelight is gone, replaced by the glow of phone screens and city lights, but the experience remains. In quiet bedrooms from Los Angeles to London, countless people still wake in the dark, unable to move, sure they are not alone. Consider Case 1, Maria, a 34-year-old nurse from Chicago. After long shifts, she would fall into dreamless sleep until one night she awoke with her eyes open but her body frozen. The sound of her own breathing thundered in her ears. Then a figure appeared in the corner, a tall shadow, darker than the dark around it. It moved closer. Maria tried to scream. Nothing came. The shadow leaned over her bed, its form pulsing, as if made of smoke and breath. She felt pressure on her chest, then, just as suddenly, release. She gasped awake. The clock read 3:12 a.m. days later. The memory still clung to her like static. For Maria, it was an isolated event. For others, it becomes a cycle. Case 2. Amir, a student in Tehran, has experienced sleep paralysis since he was 16. He describes hearing voices whispering his name, feeling a weight at his feet. Some nights he senses someone sitting beside him, breathing in unison. It's not fear, he says. It's recognition, as if it's waiting for me. Scientists call this a hallucination, a blending of urban imagery with waking perception. Yet the question persists. Why do so many people see the same thing? In nearly every culture, the intruder takes on a familiar shape. Dark, faceless, watching. Researchers have cataloged common figures: the old hag, the demon, the intruder, the incubus, the shadow man. Each represents the same primal dread being seen by something that should not exist. One theory suggests that the brain, deprived of movement, generates a projection of threat, a survival mechanism turned against itself. In paralysis, we cannot flee. The mind invents the danger to justify the fear. But others, especially those who've lived it, are not so sure. In online communities dedicated to sleep paralysis survivors, thousands share drawings and accounts. Many describe identical presences: the tall, hat-wearing figure known as the Hat Man. He does not speak. He does not move quickly. He simply stands, observing, at the edge of the bed. To skeptics, it's a product of shared suggestion, a meme of the mind. To believers, it's proof that something crosses the threshold when we are most vulnerable. For centuries, the two explanations have wrestled for dominance. In the 19th century, spiritualists saw sleep paralysis as evidence of astral projection, the soul leaving the body during dreams. The paralysis, they claimed, was the moment of re-entry gone wrong. By the 20th century, neurologists reframed it. In 1928, German psychiatrist Karl Mayr connected the phenomenon to rheumatonia, the body's muscle inhibition during deep sleep. Later studies confirmed the link. Those who suffer from irregular sleep cycles, stress, or narcolepsy are more prone to episodes. Today, EEG scans can capture it in real time, the brain's motor cortex fully awake while the body remains chemically paralyzed. The experience lasts seconds to minutes, but the emotional imprint can endure for years. Still, despite scientific clarity, the mystery lingers. Why do the hallucinations feel so sentient? Why do they seem to know the dreamer? Each civilization has filled the void with its own mythology. In Nigeria, it is known as the devil on your back. In Iceland, the Mara, a malicious spirit, rides sleepers and leaves them gasping. In Cambodia, survivors of war and trauma describe nightly attacks by spirits, often connected to ancestral guilt. Among indigenous tribes of the Americas, sleep paralysis is sometimes interpreted as a message, a visitation from the dead. In these traditions, the experience is not always evil. It can be a call to healing or remembrance. In Japan, ghost stories often begin with kaneshibari, a paralysis before an apparition. The cultural weight of belief intensifies the experience, shaping not only what people feel, but what they see. In this way, sleep paralysis becomes a mirror of humanity itself, the fears, guilt, and beliefs of each culture reflected in the shadows above the bed. To experience sleep paralysis is to stand at a precipice, the razor-thin divide between consciousness and oblivion. Doctors can explain the biology, but to those who endure it, the event feels more profound, almost spiritual. Time stretches. Space dissolves. The air thickens with a presence that logic cannot banish. For some, it is a single scar of the night. For others, it becomes ritual each episode, marked by the same footsteps, the same breath beside the pillow. Some sufferers turn to medicine, others to prayer. Some even embrace it, viewing it as a gateway to lucid dreaming or out-of-body travel. Yet all agree on one thing. It changes how one sees the darkness. The consequences go beyond a single night's terror. Chronic sleep paralysis has been linked to anxiety, insomnia, and depression. Many fear going to sleep at all, creating a vicious cycle. The less rest, the greater the risk of another attack. In severe cases, the hallucinations blur into waking life. One 2014 study in the Journal of Sleep Research found that sufferers often report persistent dread, even when fully awake, an imprint of the helplessness they once felt. For survivors of trauma, the episodes can echo old wounds. Combat veterans, abuse survivors, refugees all show higher rates of sleep paralysis. The body remembers the past. The mind relives it in silence. In this way, the phenomenon becomes not only biological, but deeply human, an intersection of memory, emotion, and survival. Despite its prevalence affecting nearly 1 in 5 people, at least once in their lives, sleep paralysis remains shrouded in stigma. Many fear ridicule. Others turn to folklore because science feels cold, impersonal. Yet, as researchers and storytellers continue to explore the borderland between sleep and wakefulness, new understanding emerges. Techniques such as regulated breathing, grounding awareness, and maintaining a consistent sleep schedule can reduce episodes. Cognitive therapy helps reframe the experience, teaching sufferers to observe rather than panic. But even with tools and data, something elemental remains in awe at the unknown terrain of our own minds. Across continents and centuries, voices echo the same refrain. A man in Norway feels invisible hands on his throat. A woman in Brazil hears the voice of her late mother whisper her name. A teenager in the Philippines wakes each night to see a black figure crawling across the ceiling. A grandmother in Mexico feels her husband, long dead, sit beside her bed. Different names, different languages, the same fear. When the body cannot move and the world holds its breath, the imagination or something beyond it rises to fill the void. Some philosophers have argued that sleep paralysis reveals a truth about existence itself, that consciousness is not confined to the body but hovers above it, witnessing. Others see it as a cruel trick of evolution, the brain half awake, trapped in its own simulation. Whichever it is, the moment is real. The paralysis, the presence, the ancient sense of being watched. It reminds us that we are not the masters of our minds. Even in the modern age of medicine, electricity, and reason, the oldest fears still wake beside us. The world sleeps. And in the quiet, between breaths, between dreams, between the heartbeat and the dawn, something stirs. Perhaps it is only the mind misfiring in the dark. Or perhaps, as countless generations believed, the night itself still has its guardians, those unseen shapes that visit the living as they drift between worlds. Sleep paralysis, in the end, is both mystery and mirror. It shows us the fragility of control, the depth of fear, and the enduring power of the unseen. And when the next night falls and eyes flutter open to stillness, We remember that every generation, every culture, every soul has faced the same silent terror, a reminder whispered from the shadows. We are never fully alone in the dark.